We're live.
Got it. Thank you. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting for today, Thursday, June 10th, 2021. I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Evans,
Present.
Councilmember Harris,
Present.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot,
Present, ma'am.
President Scott. Thank you.
Okay. Introductory number 192 is authorizing an agreement for the 2021 Rock Jam Live Music Series. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Introductory number 193, authorizing an agreement for an I Love Rock sign.
Excuse me,
Question?
Chairman. Let me enter that vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm moving too fast, Madam Clerk. I apologize if you want to announce the vote.
That's okay. President Scott, are you included in on that vote as an affirmative? You're on mute. Can you hear me, President Scott? You're on mute.
I can hear you now. Did you ask me something?
Are you included in the affirmative on introductory number 192?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Introductory number 193 is authorizing an agreement for an I Love Rock sign. Questions, comments, or concerns on 193?
Move it.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introductory number 194 is authorizing an amendatory agreement and budget amendment for the Financial Empowerment Centers initiative. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing
Move
none, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Madam Clerk?
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Perfect. Introductory number 195 is authorizing an agreement for Rock City Homegrown. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move to adopt.
It's been moved to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 196, authorizing an agreement for adult employment readiness training. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move to
Move it.
adopt.
Move to adopt, seconded by Councilmember Patterson. Moved by Councilmember Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 197, authorizing agreements for economic development and urban entrepreneurship consulting and professor on loan services. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Evans,
Yes.
on 197, there is an amendment.
Yes. Can you just read that amendment for me, Madam Clerk? Chief of Staff.
I can read.
It
197 is authorizing an agreement for an economic development and urban entrepreneurship Consulting and Professor on Loan Services. The motion to amend is changing the consulting fee from 20,000 to 22,500.
Let's get a motion on the amendment.
I
Same
motion
folks.
to amend. I motion to
Motion-
amend, changing consulting fee from 20,000 to 22,500.
Thank you, Councilmember Lightfoot. And can I get a second on the amendment?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Harris. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The amendment is approved. Now we'll go back to the original piece of legislation authorizing agreements for economic development and urban entrepreneurship consulting and professor on loan services. Motion on that?
I move it as amended.
Moved as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The clerk will
Madam
enter
Clerk?
the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record on the amendment and as amended.
Thank you. Introductory number 198 is authorizing an agreement for medical records digitization.
Move it.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. 199, authorizing competitive grant applications. Questions, comments, concerns?
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Councilmember Evans, I do have a question.
Okay. Let me get my second and then I'll go to a question. So who seconded that?
Tony.
I'll second it.
Okay, second it. And before we vote, question, Councilmember Gruber.
Thanks. In previous years, we had an update from the administration on which major proposals the city was going to submit for the CFA from New York State, just so that we could have a sense of what was what. I know last year there wasn't such an update because I don't think the CFA existed as usual, but I know it's back this year. So can we just get an update at some point soon of what the city's priorities are and what the administration will be applying for?
We can provide that update, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So it has been properly moved and seconded, and we will now proceed with the vote. All those in favor on the competitive grant applications?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Introductory number 200 is authorizing agreement relating to SUNY College at Brockport social work field internships. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Been
Second.
moved. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 245 is a local law amending the city charter relative to legal counsel for city council. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
The ayes, I'm sorry, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 247 is authorizing the deferral of an annual loan repayment for the Rochester Convention Center Management Corporation. I believe, Madam Clerk, that I will have to abstain from this piece of legislation as I am a member of the Convention Center Board. But I will take any questions, comments, or concerns on introductory number 247.
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And I abstain for the previous reason that I just mentioned.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 401 into the record with Councilmember Evans abstaining.
Thank you. Introductory number 248 is a resolution approving the reappointments to the Board of Directors for the Action for a Better Community, Inc. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductories number 249 through 258 will be held in committee as they relate to the budget, and we will deal with these on Tuesday. So we will hold 249 through 258 in committee. And now we'll proceed with the last piece of legislation in this committee for the month. Introductory number 259 is authorizing an agreement for telephone town hall meeting services. Questions, comments, or concerns on 259? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. And if there is no other business to come before the Finance Committee, we are adjourned. Thank you.
All right, well, in that's time. I call the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee to order, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Lupian,
Here.
Councilmember Melendez, Vice President Lightfoot,
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
Thanks.
All right, well, good evening, good afternoon. Let's get to it. Introductory number 201, amending the Consolidated Community Development Plan 2019-20 Annual Action Plan, authorizing submittal of a plan and entering into a grant or project sponsor agreements and appropriating $446,477 of additional funds in relation to the third round of Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Grants, public hearing to be held at 5 p.m. after the June 10, 2021 committee meeting. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have some questions.
Go, council member.
So I have 3 questions, and I know some of these might line up to an introductory, but they're all from the annual action plan. One is about the Affordable Housing Fund. Am I correct that this funding for this project is going to be decreased by $876,000 and not made up for from another fund?
So not related to this item though, right? You're talking about the overall home funds?
So this item is the annual action plan, right?
This is an amendment to it for the last of the COVID CARES Act dollars.
Okay. So maybe this isn't the right introductory to ask this.
Yeah, that one's coming up. There'll be a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So
Moved by, who's moving it?
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Lupian, seconded by
Seconded
by Councilmember Melendez. Nice warm day out there, ain't it? All right, and so now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introductory number 202, appropriating community development block grant, coronavirus funds, and authorizing new and amendatory agreements to provide for for aging in place, tenant landlord services, and foreclosure prevention services. Questions, comments, or concern? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupi and seconded by Councilmember Melendez. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes. Introductory number 203. Oops, sorry, Madam Clerk.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
All right. Introductory number 202. Nope, introductory number 203. Appropriating the 2021-22 annual action plan, public hearing to be held at 5 p.m. on June 10, 2021 meeting. Council Member Lupian, I believe this is your spot.
Okay, here we go. So again, restating my question, for the Affordable Housing Fund, do I have it right that this project is being decreased by, 876,000 and not made up for in another fund
Yes.
from another revenue source?
Right, so the annual allocation from HUD did not decrease, but what did decrease both in CDBG and home was our anticipated program income. So last year we got, I think it was 850,000 in home program income. We projected, this year we're only projecting 50,000. So yeah, there's expected to be 800,000 less in home because of that. In CDBG last year, we projected 1.5 million in program income. This year we're projecting 500,000. So there's $1 million less in program income in CDBG.
So this is one of the things that got decided to cut.
No, it wasn't cut. Program income is just a result of loans being repaid. So whether it's housing or business development loans that are repaid.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So HUD allocation was not reduced. It was just the program income that we're anticipating we're anticipating less.
Okay. And that less, so it also said 25 rental units. We're not anticipating doing rental unit rehabilitation. Is that accurate?
I guess I'm not understanding where you're directing that towards.
So I don't have it in front of me, but when it talked about the breakdown, it went from like 4 homes to 3 homes, but from 25 rental units to 0. Is that, so I guess my question is, will there be rental units rehabilitated using this fund in the next year?
Yeah, not only using home, we got additional home funds that that haven't come to council yet.
Okay.
That will be utilized. We have hopefully some ARPA funds once we, know what we can use those for and what's the public ways in. Those will be used for that. We have hopefully some land bank funding that can come to the city in the form of rehab, owner occupancy. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are potentially coming.
Great, thank you. The next one is about the emergency assistance program. Again, it looks like the funding's decreasing from 100,000, but I don't see it being made up from another source. Is that kind of the same idea?
No, that actually was made up. We put 100,000 in the first form of CARES Act funding, CDBG, towards that. We also had a very mild winter and our grant applications were down substantially from last year. So we've got a lot of cash on hand and we have never failed to meet the demand of IRB.
Okay. Last question with the housing rehabilitation program. Again, that one is decreased by about 500,000. So just same question.
You got to help me direct. Where are you seeing a decrease of $500,000?
So it says funding for this project decreased by 489,000. So there's 575 as compared to $1,065,000 that we had last year.
Oh, for the rehab program. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So and this goes for a lot of these items. Every year when we're looking to balance the CDBG allocation, the anticipated CDBG allocation, we take into consideration what's going on with CIP, what cash is on hand, what do we foresee in terms of other relief or other resources. We backed out 475,000 because we also have requested substantial monies out of ARPA. So hopefully we're going to see that come to be.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns on this item? Not seeing any, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Loopy and seconded by Councilmember Melendez. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 204, appropriating funds for the Neighborhood Commercial Assistance Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Loopy and seconded by Councilmember Melendez. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 205, appropriating funds for the Business Development Financial Assistance Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupian.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Melendez. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 206, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements related to the 2021-22 Street Liaisons Program. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have one.
Question, Councilmember Gruber.
Thanks. Commissioner Kirkmeyer, thanks for the answer about all of the street liaisons having a joint reporting system. I'm just wondering if there's any way that any of those reports can be shared with council. I don't know if it's like an annual report or something quarterly, but I think there's a lot of great work done by the street liaisons, and I'd like to just have a little bit of a pulse on what it is. I know the Southwest liaison puts, a newsletter in our mailbox every month, and something to that extent I think would be really nice in all four quadrants.
Yeah, I agree. Daisy and I were actually just talking about that today. John does a great job with that newsletter. One of the things that we find of greatest value with the work of the street liaisons is the interactive map, the data map that we created for them to feed data into. And the reason why we see a tremendous value is because not only will that track vacancies, but it'll track occupancies. What types of business have been in business longer? What areas are thriving with certain types of businesses, where are certain types of businesses not existing. So we really want to make sure that data, and it's accessible by all. The map is one of MBD maps. We want to really be able to extract data out of that to be able to do some more, accurate reporting in terms of over time historical data that represents where we're struggling to occupy vacant commercial space and where we're not. But I agree that each area should be represented. Almost. Hopefully, we can hold them to the standards of Genesee, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and I don't know that it needs to be as thorough as John's or even as often, but I'm sure that there's something that you all receive on a regular basis, and maybe just collating it and getting it to us on a quarterly or even biannual basis, I think it'd be really helpful.
Yeah, we could do that. And I think it's added value as we broaden the program as well, on streets that we haven't been on.
Thanks.
Commissioner, may I add to your statement? Councilmember Gruber, we are actually almost done with our annual report. We should have that done around the first week of July, and we're planning to prepare this for all council members, in addition to the collector app information.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Loopy and seconded by Councilmember Melendez. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passed.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 207, appropriating funds for the demolition program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Loopy and seconded by.
Second.
By Council Vice President Lightfoot. And now we vote. All in favor favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 208, appropriating funds for the Emergency Assistance Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Lupien, seconded by Councilmember Melendez. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 209, appropriating funds for the Housing Rehabilitation Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
moved. Second.
I'm going to give it to Miguel this time. Councilmember Melendez, so moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by Councilmember Lupien, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 210, authorizing an agreement for Project Phoenix program. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Lupien.
So it seems like this money has been approved for a couple of budget cycles. Has it ever been allocated?
Yeah, they've spent some of it, but we've struggled to find the best vehicle by which we can assist them. It started out where we were going to help pay for rehabs through, us granting to the owner where they did the work. That didn't work out too well. Then we went to, well, maybe we can get them into an ownership position and they could rehab a property and offer it to people on the street, but they didn't want to be in ownership. Most recently, we've had to wait out while Kareem established his own organization. So of the 50 that we originally had appropriated, they've only been able to spend down, what was it, 4,000 or so on it. But they are positioned now to more aggressively spend it. So we met with Kareem actually last week to make sure that we're aligned with what their greatest needs are that can qualify for us to provide assistance. And I think we're aligned pretty well going forward.
Can you say how they'll be using it?
It's going to be mostly for equipment, training, things that, that they can provide to their participants.
One of the suggestions from one of the organizations that uses their services was that they could really use funding to support a union professional to supervise their work. So just wanted, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've heard it. We'd have to talk through whether or not the money that we have allocated can fit that. But again, our goal is to always be partnership with them to try to meet their greatest need based on their other funding streams. They have other funding streams that can continue to support other areas. So we're going to stay connected to them and try to help them grow.
Awesome, thank you.
Commissioner Kirkmeyer, along those lines, just a quick question. So this program originally came out of a union initiative, the Construction Trades Initiative. So do we know if all of the dollars, the phase one dollars that were collected around facility modernization were used? There was supposed to be some training dollars collected then. We know if those dollars have been used, one, and if they haven't all been used, is there any reason why they couldn't be used now?
You talking about school modernization?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that might be something Commissioner Jones has to, that wouldn't be anything I'm aware of.
I'll be able to answer that. Basically, this program was a part of the Building Trades Collective, and originally part of the money came from phase one of the PLA. Phase two, there was no PLA agreement, and so we never really could get a straight answer of what happened to the dollars in the first phase. They said it was all spent, but what it was spent on or who it was allocated to, I'm not sure.
It would be nice if we could find out. I mean, if there's any way there's any of those dollars left.
Well, they're saying that there isn't.
Okay, but I mean, if they're saying that there isn't, that means they should be able to tell you how to use it.
I'm sorry?
I said, if they're saying that they use it all, they should still be able to tell us exactly how they use it.
Yeah, we requested, but we requested the information, but we can't force them to provide it.
Okay, thank you. All right. That's that all the questions. See no other questions. How we vote? Need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by President Scott, seconded by Vice President Lightfoot. Now we vote. All in favor of the item?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passed.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 211, authorizing agreement for hearing officer service. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Melendez, seconded by Councilmember Lupian, and now we vote. All in favor of the, now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 212, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the home buyer assistance program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by Councilmember Lupian. Now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 213, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the foreclosure prevention program. Questions, comments, and concerns? Seeing none. Need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Member Lupian, moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by Councilmember Lupian. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 214, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement for the eviction prevention and landlord tenant services program. Questions, comments, and concerns? Oh, come on, Councilmember Lupian, you gotta have something.
I have a question.
Oh, wait, everybody's going. Now everybody got a question. All right, go ahead, Mitch, what you got?
I just wanted to, I know this is different from the right to counsel, and I appreciate the answer in the agenda review, but I'm just wondering if you could take a moment, Commissioner Kirkmeyer, to give an update on the right to counsel. Is this, I think you said in the responses that right now it's, we have a contract through the end of September. There's obviously a significant amount of dollars towards this type of work, and I'm wondering, are we going to renew it? Is that your expectation at this point?
Well, we have active conversation with everybody that's involved. That's not just the city, it's the county and certain our legal professionals. So the Justice for All team continues to meet. We're going to keep engaged with Tina and others to see what how we get to a point where that's a sustainable effort. It remains to be seen how we get there, but the city and county are both at the table and both committed partners.
And has it been, I mean, I guess I know there was a Justice for All meeting today. There were notes, I think there were notes sent around, so I haven't gotten to see it yet, but is it something near consensus that the right to counsel has been as effective as we all kind of hoped it would be?
I mean, I haven't personally been involved, so I'll probably defer to Carol or Henry. They're both involved with that effort continuously. I think that just by means of the process, it's been successful because, people didn't know they have a right before to counsel. Now it's a mandated thing that has to be written on the form that's sent to tenants when they're in the eviction process. So, and then by default, hopefully there's a form connection, even if they don't exercise that opportunity upon receiving that notice. So, obviously there's more coverage. There's a more concentrated effort to make sure that the connections are being made. But I think some of the impact is not recognized yet because we haven't really had courts open to a large extent. I think that will come.
Got it.
I don't know, Carol, if you wanted to say anything more.
Well, I do know they reported they've served 2,000 folks so far, and we know the biggest wave is yet to come, unfortunately, with the moratorium ending.
But we anticipate it being very, very effective and definitely impactful for any of the tenants that are going into court. And this is the first time something like this has ever happened. And we're just looking forward to its continued success. Even though we've had limited involvement at this point because of the moratorium, but as the year continues, after say August, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more involvement and definitely, I believe, a lot more impact.
Thanks. And prior to the contract being up at the end of September, there'll be, I assume, some more conversation, and we'll know kind of where we stand at that point.
Yeah, I think we have to do that, right? We have to get to a point very soon, I think, of what the path forward is.
Thank you.
So on this item, colleagues, I would humbly submit that though this is a wonderful thing that we are doing, we should certainly continue to do it. We're working outside of our scope. This is a right. This should be a right. It should be codified in state law, and it should be funded at the state level. So I would humbly submit that we get together, have a conversation among ourselves, and reach out to our delegation and make that recommendation.
Sounds good to me.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Move it.
All right. Well,
Second.
okay. Moved by Councilmember Lupi and seconded by Councilmember Melendez. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Need a motion in a second.
We lost you, Mike.
You lost me? Can you still hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Introductory number 215, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the Home Rochester Program Management and for the Community Housing Development Organization Reserve Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lupi and seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Melendez. And so now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 216, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement for the Legal Services for Seniors Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by Councilmember Lupian. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 217, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the housing opportunities with AIDS. No questions, comments, or concerns. Need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Lupi and seconded by Councilmember Melendez. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 218, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
Councilmember Lupian.
Can we just go over how these allocations were determined?
So this annual event is a collaboration between the city and county. So we utilize both city and county ESG funds in this RFP process. So while you'll see what the city awards are, you don't see the county awards. And typically how it works is the needs of the express needs of the of applicants are most often met. And I think 12 of 14 requests were met 100%. So it's analyzing, you know, data to date, how effective they've been in whatever their goals were and objectives were. And really it's when they're doing wonderful things, as they can grow, we try to help them grow.
Thank you. Do we ever entertain new applications? Does it work like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the process is available to all. It doesn't happen as frequent because it's hard to start up this kind of effort, but we do see it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lewis.
Second.
Councilmember Melendez, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 219, appropriating funds and authorizing agreement to implement the Conia Neighborhood Master Plan Project. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none.
Just a comment. I just want to say that this is a long time coming. I think 14605 is in desperate need of that master plan. Conia has done great work in the community, and I'm looking forward to moving this along.
And with there being no other questions or comments, we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Lupian, seconded by Councilmember Melendez, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 220, amending ordinance number 2019-361 relating to lead hazard control contractor training. Questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Lupian. All right, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 221, amending ordinance number 221-107 relating to the U.S. Treasury Emergency Rent Assistance. Questions, comments, or concerns? All right, no questions, no comments, no concern. Need a motion in a second?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, so moved by Councilmember Lupian, seconded by Councilmember Melendez, and now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passed.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
All right, so at this time, we now move to introductory number 222, but we need to amend, the item. And we need to amend the item to update the lease agreement. So I need a motion to amend the item.
So moved.
Moved. Okay,
Motion to amend.
Moved, okay. So I've got a motion, now I need a second.
Second.
Second, okay, moved by Councilmember Lupian, seconded by Councilmember Melendez. All in favor of amending the item to update the lease agreement, please say aye.
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 All opposed to amending the item, please say nay. Okay, so the amendment passed. And so now we vote on the item as amended. All in favor of voting to all in favor of the item as amended, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item as amended, please say nay. Item passed.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record for the amendment and the item as amended.
All right, with there being no other work to come before this committee, we stand adjourned.
This is Councilmember Gruber. I just got kicked off on my computer for some reason. Can folks hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I need to pull it up on a different computer since I'm behind. So I'll ask the clerk to call the roll slowly.
Councilmember Gruber,
I'm here.
Councilmember Evans,
Present.
Councilmember Pio,
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot,
Here.
President Scott. President Scott, you're on mute.
Having double technical difficulties right now.
Are you? President Scott?
Madam Clerk, do you want me to get it going?
Oh, sure. She's here. I see her talking, so
I'm sorry, what, you asked me something?
that was a roll, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with introductory number 223, amending bond ordinance number 2021-109 of the City of Rochester, New York. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move to adopt.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
And Madam Clerk, just so you know, I can't see, I'm on my phone, so I can't see people and I'm struggling to hear a little bit. So you'll just have to make sure I know that when things are moved and seconded, please.
Okay.
Introduction number 224, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement for radio transmitting equipment. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it. Move it.
Been
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
No one opposed. Okay. The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 225, authorizing an agreement for the Brownfield Cleanup Project at 24 and 32 York Street. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 226, authorizing an agreement for a compost pilot program. I just want to congratulate the administration on this. This is a really important step, just as it was over many years ago when we started a recycling program. This is certainly the future of municipal services, and glad to see it's being done. I just have one question. Is there a goal for right now? The compost that the city produces, the city has always said is not going to be eligible for food grade. It's not food grade compost for vegetable gardens. Will that change as we start to do this pilot program?
Well, Councilman Gruber, what we learn from pilot programs is information. And that's one of the goals that we're setting out is to what are the uses, what can happen with it, and the type of participation that's going to go on there. So right now we can't really say until we get the data, the information.
Got it. But that is a goal, though, is to see if we can produce food grade compost for community gardens. One of many.
Absolutely. And as we source it, where it comes from, that will be an indicator of where we could actually use it. But right now, we want to gather as much information on participation and the other factors that are out there so that we can, come up with the best program ever. And right now, there's about 35% of the waste stream is compostable, and we look to capture that 35%.
Got it. Well, I look forward to helping to spread the word as soon as the pilot is ready this summer. Any other questions, comments, or concerns by my colleagues?
Well, I do have a concern.
Go
So
ahead.
I understand that we say that compost that we currently produce is not food grade, but I'm pretty convinced there's an awful lot of tomatoes in the city grown in our compost. So maybe we need a bigger sign out there telling people don't do that.
We encourage people to use it only as a soil amendment, use it for planting flowers, use it to help plant grass. It's amazing stuff. We've been composting, Councilperson Patterson, for over 30 years, and it's been very successful. It's one of the most successful programs we have with our Materials Give Back program. So it's. We do have a disclaimer out there, and we do tell people that this is for a soil amendment that should be used for your flower garden and for your lawn.
You might want to add to that, don't grow anything you're going to eat in this, because I'm here to tell you there's an awful lot of people growing tomatoes out of our compost.
Tomatoes are okay. I'm not going to say this legally, but there's a parent-child boundary, so a lot of the things don't pass to fruits. Definitely don't want to grow potatoes or leafy vegetables.
Well, look, like I said, I only use tomatoes as an example. There's a whole lot of stuff grown in our city compost. And so if we're really telling folks that it's not safe, we really do need to stress that it's not safe.
Well, there's a lot more to say on that subject, but it's a little bit outside the scope of this particular amendment introductory. So let's have a follow-up and maybe even have a work session to hear how the pilot is going. We can bring this conversation back up too.
Absolutely. We'll be pleased to do that.
Can someone make a motion?
Motion to move. Motion to adopt, sorry.
Been moved. Waiting for a second. And second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 227, authorizing an amendatory agreement for the Lincoln Branch Library reconfiguration. Councilmember Patterson?
What are you reading minds again, Gruber? Yes. I just want to commend the administration. Still down a library, but I'm happy that you're fixing up the one poor, sad library that I do have. Thank you.
It's a wonderful library. Any questions, comments, or concerns from any other colleagues? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Move it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 228, authorizing an agreement for West Side Garage structural repairs and renovation. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to adopt.
It's been moved. Someone give me a second, please.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 229, authorizing an amendatory agreement for the Blue Cross Arena Upgrades Project. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Now I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Moved.
Second.
And seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 230, authorizing geometric changes relating to the Innovation Square project. A public hearing to be held at 5 p.m. after the June 10th, 2021 committee's meeting. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
So
Move.
moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 231, appropriating funds for the East Main Street Improvement Project, North Goodman Street to Culver Road. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 232, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement to operate and maintain rectangular rapid flashing beacons. I just want to make a comment about this. I learned a lot in the my little work session with PPW this month. This is partially maybe the wave of the future in terms of traffic calming. And hopefully we'll learn a lot from this as well, Commissioner Jones, and maybe even get to a point where we can have neighborhoods apply for these as they historically have applied for speed bumps and things of that nature. So just asking for you or someone from your team to make sure to give us some updates as to where these are going, when they're installed, so that we can make sure we're reaching out to constituents and hearing what they have to say about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Does anyone on council have any questions, comments, or concerns about rectangular rapid flashing beacons? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 233, appropriating funds and authorizing agreement for infrastructure and playground improvements for the Troop Street, Edgerton, and Maplewood playgrounds. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Move it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 234, authorizing an agreement for the Active Transportation Master Plan Project. Another kudos I just want to give on this. I think it's a really important step in terms of having a bike master plan. I'm just wondering, Commissioner Jones or anyone on your team, if you can share when public engagement will start, community engagement will start for this creation of the master plan.
Well, actually, I'm gonna ask Eric to jump in, but not only are we gonna have a bicycle master plan, but we're gonna have a pedestrian master plan. So it's gonna encompass not only the bicycles, but pedestrian, and really have a strong emphasis on our multimodal forms of transportation, our complete streets, and what we're doing to encourage all types of means and modes of transportation. Eric?
That's correct, Commissioner. Thank you. We're looking to issue an RFP for this this summer to select a consultant team, and we hope to begin work this fall. So you would anticipate public engagement to begin around that time.
Perfect. Thank you for the update. Any questions, comments, or concerns from council?
Just maybe not particularly related to this specific item, but just to take an opportunity to discuss the new scooters and e-bikes, just for people to know. Can we get an understanding of the rollout, and just want to remind people to ride safely and wear your helmet?
Eric?
Well, if I may first, Commissioner Jones, I would just say that Councilmember Loopy and I've been having some conversations with the communications department around this. I think that there's still a whole lot that has to be said to the public about what's happening and what the schedule is and what to expect. I think part of what the holdup has been is that this is truly intermunicipal. We're working with RGRTA in a number of towns, and plus this third party company. So I think we haven't had all of our ducks in a row, been able to coordinate a proper, press event and release in terms of all the things happening. But I suspect that is going to happen in short order. So I'm not sure how much we can really cover in this meeting in regards to that, but certainly we need something that the public can consume in the next couple of weeks. But I don't know, Commissioner Jones or Mayor, if you want to say anything.
I think you said it all, Mitch, and it was a good synopsis. And we're working in conjunction with RGRTA.
Yeah, if it were up to me, we would have done a rollout yesterday. So I agree with you, Councilmember Lupien. It needs to happen fast. I know everyone is working on it.
Maybe bare minimum.
Excuse me?
There are electric scooters and bikes, and there's an app that you need to use, and there's helmets. Like, I'm just, for people watching this, we just kind of like teased it. Can we give the basics of information?
Is there a place on the website where everything around Hopper lives? I know there was a press release, and I know it was covered in the media, so it's not like anything's been hidden from folks. I'm not sure. I don't think we have the time to do like a public education session at this particular moment right now. But is there a place that we can reference to the website and put links on the council Facebook pages and things like that?
Eric?
I'd be happy to provide whatever information and coordinate with Hopper to get the right information. There is the Hopper's website does have all the ways in which you can access and the equipment and the various membership levels that exist from per ride to monthly to a reduced fare option. There are cash-based options similar to Zagster, as well as the traditional credit card based version. So there's many different ways to access the system, and whatever information we'd like to get out, I'm happy to help make that happen.
Yeah, Eric, if you wouldn't mind just sending over the links to Conda and Katie on our staff so they can post things to our page. But I will also say, Councilmember Lupien, the kiosks that Hopper has are pretty good sources of information for anybody who is listening to this. The kiosks themselves, you go there, they're fairly intuitive to use. So really encourage people to just start interacting with them. But we'll get something posted to our page. Can I get a motion on instruction number 234, please?
Move it.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Instruction number 235, a resolution amending resolution number 2021-14 relating to the Waring Road Improvement Project. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Been moved. Waiting for a second, please.
Second.
And seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
That concludes the work of the Parks and Public Works Committee.
All right. At this time, I'd like to call the Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Service Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Vice President Lightfoot.
Present, ma'am.
Councilmember Gruber.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Pio.
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Introduction number 236, authorizing an agreement with the City School District for joint use and maintenance of facilities. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
Councilmember Harris, do you need to abstain on that one?
Yes, I will need to abstain. Forgive me. There'll be abstention. Can you change my vote?
Okay. Okay. The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 401 into the record with Councilmember Harris abstaining.
All right, introductory number 237, authorizing funding and agreement for the 2021 Summer Food Service Program. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll
Move to
entertain a
adopt.
motion. It's been moved. I need a second.
Second.
Going once?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any oppositions? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you very much. Introductory number 238, authorizing agreement for a Rochester Public Market Master Plan and Management Plan. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you very much. Introductory number 239, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement for the International Plaza. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you very much. Introductory number 240, authorizing an agreement for a boxing program. Any questions, comments, and concerns? I just want to make a comment, point of privilege. I would work very hard and diligently with administration to get this boxing program going on by our international or world champion, Charles the Natural Murray. And it's been an extreme success over there. And I just wanted to say kudos to the administration, Commissioner Torres, her staff, and all who have helped to make this. This is an alternative to the streets. And many of our youth use this. And when we talk about the violence that's happening in our community, as well as conflict resolution, this is a tool that can be used to help to curb that and to transition our young people and/or an alternative to some of the negative things that they do. So I'm really excited to see that this continue. And I want to say thank you to the administration and to Commissioner Torres and her staff. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Vice President Lightfoot, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure, absolutely. Councilperson Harris.
I would like to echo your remarks as a alumni of Basin Street Association and witnessing the boxing program they had over there over the years. I'm very happy and proud to see the administration and the mayor, and of course you, Vice President Lightfoot, transform that location into what it is today and continuing the legacy. So as you said before, this is an alternative to the violence in our community, and I'm looking forward to seeing what next champion that program will yield.
Touche. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
Move to adopt.
Been moved. Second. Been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
All right, thank you. Introductory number 241, a bond ordinance of the city of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of 1,300,000 bonds of said city to finance the acquisition of the 30 police patrol vehicles. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
I have a question.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I asked a question about kind of national best practices and standards around life cycle of a police, of a car like this. I'm just wondering if someone can just answer that again for me maybe with a little bit more detail. In other words, when is this like a national best practice for cars to be X number of years and have X number of miles on them? Is there an industry standard?
Hi, good evening. I'm Deborah Dwyer. I'm the Rochester Police Department Deputy Chief. I just started. This is my first council meeting. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. It is one of the best practices, yes, to practice standard purchasing for police car vehicles so that you don't have to purchase an entire fleet in 1 year. We put many miles on the vehicles, usually between 40 to 60,000 on average for every year. So it is best practices to stagger the purchasing of the vehicles.
Thank you, Deputy Chief, and nice to meet you too. That isn't exactly what I was trying to get at with my question, but I'm not going to put you on the spot since you are brand new to the role. I guess what I will say, because you're brand new to the role, is that I personally, as I'm sure so many others have, spent a lot of time wondering about how often our police department vehicles idle. I have seen there be incidents where an officer has gotten out of a car and left the car idling for certainly more than 30 minutes at a time. And I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind, it'll help both of us since you're new, if you wouldn't mind figuring out if there is a policy on the books around idling and just being able to share that back with council. I think that I'd really appreciate that, because I think we all want to make sure that we have the right vehicles, but this is a pretty hefty price tag. And I do wonder if there's ways that we can act differently to keep the price tag down a little bit.
Sure, I would be happy to look into that further for you.
Thank you so much.
Just wanted to add, not to mention the impact on the climate.
That's correct. I'll be happy to get that information.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Dwyer, and welcome to the party. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Just for I have a quick question. Clarity question. I seen the transmittal that we're purchasing 30 new Dodge Chargers patrol vehicles, and I just wanted to ask, why wouldn't we purchase more if there was like, I see there's 115 vehicles that's 5 years older or more, and 41 vehicles that have over 100,000 miles. I just get a little clarity on why. I think I missed that.
Okay, as I said before, we want to stagger the purchasing of the vehicles so that we aren't purchasing. This represents 11% of the marked fleet that we are replacing this year.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I missed the answer. Thank you for repeating that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
All right, we're going to back up a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back to introductory number 237, just so that we can get that vote correct. Introductory number 237, authorizing funding and appropriating for the 2021 Summer Food Service Program. And any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions?
CP Lightfoot, Councilmember Harris has to abstain. She's in car CSD.
So can she move it? She moved it. Is that appropriate?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to recall this a third time. Introductory number 237, authorizing funding and agreement for the 2021 Summer Food Service Program. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved by Madam President. It's been seconded by Councilmember Pio. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, one abstention. Introductory passes with one abstention. Madam Clerk.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 401 into the record with Councilmember Harris abstaining.
Thank you very much. Introductory number 242, authorizing agreement with Protectives Incorporated of Rochester, New York for auxiliary services. I take a point of privilege again here, working in the Rochester Fire Department for 22 years, working alongside the Rochester Protectives. They are an amazing group of men and women that volunteer. We don't have very many volunteer opportunities for fire in the city as they do in the suburbs. But this is a volunteer opportunity for those who may be listening, who have interest and want to get kind of their feet wet in the fire department. The Protectives is a great opportunity to do that. So I believe they have information online, or you can just go down on Chestnut Street and talk to those individuals down there. But it is a great opportunity for those who are looking to get in the career of firefighting or who just want to be a servant to the community and volunteer for this outfit. They do great work, and I just wanted to lift that up at this time. Any other questions and or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. I guess I'm the only aye.
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 Any opposition? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you very much.
Vice President, you know silence is consent.
I know that all too well, Madam President. Introductory number 243, amending the 2020-21 budget related to a Department of Justice Coronavirus Emergency Supplement Funding Program grant. Any questions, comments, and or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved. And possibly second. And second. Did I hear a second?
Second, Belashay.
All right, thank you very much. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introduction number 244, appropriating funds and authorizing agreement for veterinarian services. Any questions, comments, and or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved by Councilmember Pio.
Second.
It's been seconded by Dr. Gruber. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 246, amending the 2020-2021 budget and appropriating federal forfeiture funds for an anti-gun violence campaign. Any questions, comments, and or concerns? Again, a point of privilege. I want to thank the administration and also the police chief and all of the staff over at the police department for constantly supporting the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition and the anti-gun violence work that we do there in that space. I just want to lift that up as well. That is some work that is doing, I believe, paying dividends. And I'm glad to see us getting back to that work. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I entertain a motion.
So move it.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Introductory passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Now, Madam Clerk, I believe that's the last one. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. If there is no other business to come before the Public Safety, then we are adjourned. Recreation and Human Services Committee, then we are adjourned.
Are we going directly into public hearings?
Yes, unless you need to take a break.
Okay, let's take a, just a 2-minute break. (5:26), we'll be back to this. Okay, we're ready to go. Good evening, all. Welcome to the public hearing for June 2021. The meeting will come to order and the clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Evans,
Present.
Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Lupian. Sorry, Councilmember Lupian.
I believe she's rejoining.
Okay, Councilmember Melendez,
Here.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Pio, Councilmember Pio, Vice President Lightfoot,
Present, ma'am.
President Scott.
Here. Thank you all for joining us for the public hearings. Tonight's hearings will be broadcast live on our social media YouTube channel, as well as on City Channel 12. In an effort to provide individuals with increased access, we have provided the public with 2 ways to participate in our public hearings tonight. Individuals were able to send comments in writing via mail directly to the council email. We will now begin the public hearings.
Pursuant to law, public hearing will now be had on the following matter: amending the Consolidated Community Development Plan 2019-20 Annual Action Plan, authorizing submittal of a plan and entering into grant or project sponsor agreements, and appropriating $446,477 of additional funds in relation to the third round of Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Grants. Introductory number 201. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard. Adam Stavetsky.
According to data compiled by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the city of Rochester has historically failed to spend its federal grant allocations on the city's neediest households. Over the last 5 years, for which data are available, the city of Rochester spent just 5% of its CDBG dollars and 5% of its home dollars on households earning 0 to 30% of area median income. Instead, 73% of CDBG dollars and 68% of home dollars have benefited moderate income households earning 50 to 80% of area median income. Because of this historical trend, I am concerned that the current round of CARES Act funding will be used to benefit moderate income households rather than the low income households who are most in need. As part of the annual action plan amendment, I call on the city of Rochester to explicitly commit money to the city's lowest income populations. To do this, the city might consider spending more of its grant allocation on emergency rental assistance for households who will be at risk of eviction once the statewide eviction moratorium expires this summer.
That's the last speaker.
Thank you. If there are no other speakers, that hearing is closed.
Pursuant to law, public hearing will now be had on the following matter: approving the 2021-22 annual action plan, introductory number 203. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
I'm Bruce Mellon, President.
I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
I'm Bruce Mellon, President of the Upper Mount Hope Neighborhood Association. I'm disappointed that email comments to the AAP team did not appear in the draft plan comments. Disappointed that AAP team declined twice to consult ROC NNBN, a 501c3 neighborhood association, contrary to what the plan says near the bottom of page 20. Disappointed public resident neighborhood comments appear to have no influence on the planned projects or funding. The process of developing the AAP feels like residents and neighborhood groups were not engaged as HUD requires. The UMHN needs a street liaison to rebuild the business association and have the business association be an engaged stakeholder in the Mount Hope Task Force, which needs to do local planning, including responding to the rezoning 2034 project and developing a neighborhood plan update. Please have the draft plan amended to provide a street liaison for the UMH neighborhood. There also needs to be spending transparency by census tract, not just zip code, and transparency as to who receives funds for which project related to planning, administration, and delivery, especially if the funds become compensation to city employees. Thank you in anticipation for considering having the plan amended. As you have may have guessed, my question during tonight's webinar, part of the question and answer. Is this part of it as well? Oh, okay. It appears the 90K street liaison program is not very much valued by those making the funding decisions. It seems to me that the funding street liaisons is more likely to leverage more business improvements and draw more residents than, say, the huge budget for demolition and playground improvement. Even doubling or tripling the 90K street liaison amount, taking it from the 2 projects I noted, shouldn't be a big deal. Question: what would be the budget for the street liaison be if every business that is not covered under an active business association had a street liaison assigned? Instead of being just for businesses on city-determined focus corridors, it seems as though by excluding non-focus corridor businesses who are effectively discriminating, does the city really want to go there? It is disappointing, as stated in the draft document, that the funding allocations are determined by the city, the single management team. The decisions are in alignment and are driven by city priorities, HUD priorities and requirements, and residents' input noted in that order.
That's time.
Dorian Hall.
I'm Dorian Hall from Plex Neighborhood Association. I'm one, disappointed that email comments to the AAP team do not appear in the draft plan comments. Two, disappointed the AAP team declined twice to consult ROC MNBN, a 501c3 neighborhood association, contrary to what the plan says near the bottom of page 20. Three, disappointed public resident neighborhood comments appear to have had no influence on the planned projects or funding. Four, the process of developing the AAP feels like residents and neighborhood groups were not engaged as HUD requires. Five, the Plex Neighborhood Association needs a street liaison. Six, there also needs to be both spending transparency by census tract, not just zip code, and transparency as to who receives funds for which project related to planning, administration, and delivery, especially if the funds become compensation to city employees. Thank you in anticipation for considering having the plan amended. Dorian Hall.
Richard Rowe.
You're on mute.
My name is Richard Rowe, president of Rowe Photo, Video, and Audio. We've been located in the city of Rochester since 1898 and are still operating within the city. I founded and was president of the Mount Hope Business Association and worked alongside the U of R, other key stakeholders in the city of Rochester to bring about College Town, City Gate, Five Star Bank, and also the improvement project phase 2 of the reconstruction of Mount Hope Avenue. With the involvement of key members, stakeholders of our community and officials from the city of Rochester, the Mount Hope Task Force was created to be a sounding board and action vehicle for community projects and issues. Both Mount Hope Business Association and Mount Hope Task Force have ceased operation from lack of community involvement and city funding. Over the years, we have accomplished much, reviewing projects and addressing problem areas, which resulted in a stronger, more vibrant community with neighborhood input in the city of Rochester support and blessings. We desperately need to bring our neighborhood together for the overall benefit of the whole community. We need a community-based street liaison, and we need to bring back our community task force. We have the concerned individuals, both in business, homeowners, and student renters. However, we need the support and organization staff and skills to keep ideas and opportunities moving forward on a consistent basis. Our Upper Mount Hope neighborhood organization currently represents the residual neighborhood, but without business organization, we only hear from one side of any issues that affects our community. Please help promote strong neighborhoods with support to organize the local community.
Roger Levy.
Upper Mount Hope Commercial Corridor is suffering with a large vacancy rate and is also overly weighted toward restaurant investors. These businesses are extremely fragile, in my opinion, because of the recent pandemic and also because there are too many chasing too few workers and customers. The Mount Hope Task Force could benefit from attention, including having a street liaison. We do need help rebuilding our business association as well. Lacking a business association, we have a dearth of connection with the city and also are having issues with zoning. Please consider helping in some way for the sake of the neighborhood residents. We do have a growing number of absentee residential landlords, and we have a large population of underserved low-income apartment renters nearby. Yours truly, Roger Levy, President, Levy Sporting Goods Incorporated, DBA Freewheelers Bicycle Shop.
Michael Mahalisas.
The city dropped the facilitating of the Mount Hope Business Association, MHTF, as other parts of the city have a street liaison. We have been left without them. It is necessary to have a liaison between the businesses and the city so we can have clear and direct communication about the zoning changes that are coming and to deal with other concerns we have.
That's the last speaker, President Scott.
Thank you. Given that there are no other speakers, that hearing is closed.
Pursuant to law, public hearing will now be had on the following matter: authorizing geometric changes relating to the Innovation Square project. Introductory number 230. Any person desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard. There are no speakers.
Since there are no speakers, that hearing is closed. That concludes our public hearings. Legislation for these hearings will be voted on at our city council meeting on Tuesday, June 15th at 7:30 p.m. It'll be streamed live on our social media YouTube channel as well as on City Channel 12. Thank you for joining us. We are adjourned.
Good night.